That Talking Podcast. I'm JJ Star. And that's your ASMR for the evening.
And I'm Downtown Andy.
Apparently. Welcome to you, small glass of gin and juice. And we're here to talk and bring a little civil discourse to an otherwise discordant world and drink in front of you.
Listen, I haven't done this on a podcast in a long time.
Drink?
Have I drank? Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have not had whiskey on a podcast in a long time.
In a long time.
I haven't had whiskey on this podcast yet.
Is that true?
We'll have to go back, but I'm not ready to do that just
Well,
yet.
anyway, we are here to talk and bring a little civil discourse to each other.
And a little...
And a little something,
beverage.
something. Yeah. How you doing?
Good tidings, good cheer.
Yeah, you're full of tidings and
I'm
good cheer?
so happy to be home.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to be out of this heat.
It's fucking hot. It's oppressively hot. Yeah. As I'm sure plenty of people are experiencing also. But this is grotesque.
I'm sure they can guess what day we're recording this on by that statement.
It could be any of them, honestly. It's been getting increasingly more and more gross outside. And I personally I'm not a tomato. I don't like it.
We have them in the fridge.
I don't thrive in it. We have tomatoes?
Yeah, we do.
Oh.
The wildlife doesn't seem to mind.
Well, the poor birds, I have felt so terrible for the birds all day because they keep coming around and just screaming silently. They're just...
Well, they're not privy.
That's what they do.
They're not privy to the rules. Maybe we should enlighten them.
The rules?
Yeah.
They know the rules. The rules.
The birds know the rules?
3 rules for the sake of civility, right? We all live by them, especially the birds. That's why they're always here together.
Yeah.
Peaceful coexistence.
Except they don't really abide by them, especially not on weekends.
Well, no judgment, nothing personal, and don't be a dick.
They are the biggest dicks on Saturday
The
mornings.
woodpecker has not been pecking at the house lately. No, it hasn't.
Okay.
He hasn't. So, I mean, maybe that's part of the heat.
Oh, what do you want to talk about?
What do I want to talk about? There have been things that have sort of circulated in my brain in the last couple of weeks.
Circulated.
Yeah, just sort of
Circular
marinating
circle.
and stuff. Passing thoughts that I think could become topics of conversation.
It's like a carousel. You pay the quarter you get on, and it goes in a circle, round, with the music, the flow, all good things.
Well, I mean, on that same note, let me ask you this. I want to preface this, first of all.
All right, I'm ready for anything.
We
Hit
know
me.
a lot of people, past and present, we know a lot of people who either do or have worked for tips.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked for tips.
I've worked for tips.
Yeah. So, I want to preface this by saying I'm not here to, shit on someone or anything like that. But how do you feel about leaving a tip for someone? In general, do you find it to be a merit-based thing?
I mean, personally, I take the Reservoir Dogs approach to it, and anybody who thinks otherwise can eat my shit.
You're gonna have to explain that.
You've never seen Reservoir Dogs?
I've seen Reservoir Dogs. I couldn't tell you what the fuck that has to do with tipping, though.
So one of the opening, I think it is the opening scene where they're all sitting around a table at a diner, and Steve Buscemi is the only one who refuses to fork over any money for a tip.
I do remember that. Yeah.
And then he explains why, and it makes sense to me.
Explain it.
He thinks that obligatory tipping is ridiculous.
Okay.
So, like, if they put in extra effort to, serve you in that setting, like that, then they deserve something extra in his opinion.
So you would agree that a tip is a merit-based reward, for lack of a better word,
to ensure proper service.
Exactly. Now, there are plenty of places, restaurants specifically, I know, and even hotels nowadays that include gratuity in the cost of your bill.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like you leave it, like your tip is already factored in there and you owe it as a part of your bill.
Like, when you go to certain places and you have parties of a certain size,
yes,
like they'll warn you ahead of time, like this gratuity has been factored into your bill.
But my question still becomes, like, what if you have a party of 10 going to a restaurant? They're going to include an 18% gratuity, on your bill for you and everything, but the service is garbage and the food is lousy.
You don't go back.
But you still have to pay that tip.
You don't have to pay that tip.
You do, though, because it's a part of your bill.
You don't have to pay your bill.
Well,
well, listen, let's not pigeonhole this topic into just restaurant experiences.
No.
Because technically, I still work for tips. Like, I don't get them regularly.
No, yeah, you do. That's true.
I get Christmas tips, and that's questionable in some circles.
Now, this popped into my head because of late, I have worked for tips.
Right.
Now, I have not worked strictly for tips.
Have we not talked about this before?
No.
Okay.
Not specifically.
Not on the podcast.
So this popped into my head because when I was merching, when I was doing merch for festivals and, tours,
when you were vending,
when I was vending, merchandise and stuff like that, it would always be sort of a point of contention between the freelancers and the tour staff, like the production staff, as to whether or not it was okay to accept tips, like to put out a tip jar on the table or to turn tipping on for credit cards and stuff like that.
Well, it's like the age-old argument, like, well, how come, Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts employees can put out a tip jar, but McDonald's and Burger King can't?
Well, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But while I don't think that it is, a necessity, I've been in several situations on both sides of that question.
Have you ever relied on your tips?
Yes, but okay. I want to get to my point first.
So sorry.
So again, I worked one particular event at Hammerstein Ballroom where
my favorite.
I worked with another girl and we were both freelancers. We just came into the city for the show and we asked their tour staff, we were like, would it be all right if we turned tipping on for credit card purchases? And he said, no one's ever asked me that before. I don't even know how to do that. And we were like, well, we do. Can we do it? We split $500 in tips that night.
That's nice.
That outshone the base pay we were making. So because of those tips, we ended up making more than twice what we were guaranteed.
It wasn't until we got together that I ever even thought to tip the merch people at concerts, because the first and only time I think I think I did it once after that, but the first time I remembered tipping a merch person was when we saw Blitzkid for the first time, and I tipped Tommy because you had mentioned this to me, and it's just like, it never crossed my mind, what their salary might be, what that goes into their job.
The amount of work that goes into it, most people will never understand.
So, and I felt really good about tipping him because I'm like, you know what? I probably should have been doing this all along.
Now, I've also been on the other end of it where they've said, no, you can't. That's so unprofessional. We don't do tips. You get paid plenty and everything. And it's like, okay. And sometimes people will just throw money down anyway. And it's like, gee, thank you. I'm going to take this now.
I mean, I've never relied on my tips to get by. Like, I've relied on them as part of my salary, right. Sure. But like, as far as like, hoping I get a good tip to be able to live off of, like, yeah. I've never been there.
Now, what really stuck out to me was most recently was a friend of mine who, does, this is how she makes her living. She posted a TikTok because somebody, she sort of stitched a TikTok because somebody made a comment. Somebody made a comment about how, no, I'm not going to leave a tip for you because all you did was turn around and grab me a t-shirt. Without getting sour about this, without getting sour or salty about this, she went on to say that she doesn't give a shit if you tip or not, but do not be so presumptuous as to say all you do is, because you have no idea what goes into doing that job.
I mean, I've been conditioned to obligatorily tip, so I do, and I continue this practice because I think it's kind of shitty to go somewhere where you're given service and then to not, regardless of the amount of service you get or the lack of service you get.
Right.
The percentage I give, however, will be determined based on said service.
Yes. Now, I I responded to her TikTok by saying exactly what I have said to people for almost a decade now. Whenever somebody says, "Why should I tip you? All you did was hand me a t-shirt." My argument has always been, if I turned around and grabbed you a beer, you would drop $1 on this table. Because that's just what you do, right? You tip your bartender. Even when they get you like a water or a Coca-Cola or something like that.
I don't know anybody who tips for those.
You don't know anybody who'll just drop like $1 on the table, just like, thank you for getting me something to drink?
I know more people who would not drop $1 on the table for just getting a soda or water.
But think about it.
Because they look at it in terms of what is the value of what you're getting me.
But think about it. Like, what if those same people were thinking, well, I'll tip you if you make me a mixed drink or you pour me like a draft. But like, if you're just opening a bottle, like, why should I tip you?
Because a lot of people have it in their head what they've been taught for a long time. And that's, the tip percentage is based off the totality of what you've spent. So like, historically, like I've been taught you're supposed to tip, it used to be 15%. And then somewhere along the line, somebody was like, no, you're supposed to tip 20% to your server. And I'm like, I didn't know there was, I had always been led to believe it was 15. Then it changed to 20. So I've been tipping 20. And then sometimes I'll do more. Sometimes I'll round up, to the next $10 or whatever. But like, everybody's different and everybody's opinion is different.
But and maybe it's just my skewed perspective because I have for so long been a part of the receiving end of it. But like when I worked in the salon, this swanky fucking salon in Mount Kisco, I was doing manicures for like $90 a pop and getting a $5 tip. $5? For a $90 service that took me an hour to perform.
Well, you also have to take into account that not everyone is as educated on what's appropriate.
But it's the same thing with tattoos.
But you can't get mad at them for tipping you less than what you think you're owed because they don't necessarily know. They don't know what's appropriate in that situation, and you're not about to to pull them aside and educate them.
I'm sorry though, like if you have been receiving this service, if this is not your first time receiving this service, you should know better. You should know better.
You should, but again, whose responsibility is it to educate that person?
Like I took.
Like how many times have I said to you on this podcast, if somebody doesn't know, if somebody isn't told something, how would they know?
I understand.
It sounds like a cop out. I understand.
I understand that, but that's just it. Is that it's not that in most of these situations that at least I'm thinking of, it's not that these people don't know, like the standard protocol per se.
I'm not trying to make excuses either. I'm just saying
that's what they are doing. It would seem to me they're making excuses. Like, again, if I go to a bar and I have no intention of drinking, but I'm going to take the bartender's time to be like, get me a soda, please. Get me a water, please. Yeah. It's like, I'm going to throw a couple of bucks down on the table because it's like, you're serving me, but you're not going to make any money off of the things that you're serving me. So here's a couple of bucks for your time. Thank you for performing a service for me.
I remember how I felt when I learned that people like waiters and waitresses and diners, how they make less than minimum wage and all of their revenue is really just in tips.
Yes.
And I remember being bewildered at that idea because it's like, how is that even possible? How could they be making under minimum wage legally? And I understand it's because they make up for it in tips, but it's just like, shouldn't they be making minimum wage plus whatever tips that they get?
You would think.
When
I worked at that salon, again, there was a sign.
I was very young when I learned this, so I didn't know the ways of the world just yet.
It was sort of like those choking hazard signs and the Heimlich maneuver signs you see in some restaurants and stuff. There was a sign that literally said, your technicians are not making, we are not salarying them. Like, they subsist on what you pay them, and on average they will make upwards of like $1.76 an hour. That's on average how much
See, that's
we would be
awful.
making.
That's criminal.
And the owners of this salon, I'm not even kidding you, legally they had to post this sign. You know where they put it? Behind a folding screen. So that no one could even fucking see it.
See, like, I could never allow myself to be in that kind of a position. Like, I delivered food for like 6 months once, and my whole salary basically was tips. Like, we got like, I think like $3 or $4 per delivery plus whatever the tip was.
Right.
And one of my friends who was banging the dispatcher got all the best deliveries because she would purposely save them all for him so he could get the best tips.
Yeah.
And, but I made some decent, tips here and there. But I also, wasn't really, I didn't need to be self-sufficient at that point.
Right.
Like, I didn't need to provide for more than just myself.
Yeah.
So all my money just went to, whiskey and cigarettes and beef jerky. Energy drinks.
I understand people who will object to, I understand why people might object to obligatory tipping. But in my opinion, if someone provides you a service, like, it is polite, at the very least,
but
to offer them, something like that.
Here's the $1 million question, though. What leads people to take these jobs? It can't be that they have no other options.
I mean, it can be.
In certain circumstances, sure, but what drives, what leads people into these positions of employment?
I think that's always going to be subjective. I know people who
like, we know somebody who's in the service industry as a bartender who really,
I know plenty of people.
You know who I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Though. And this person really enjoys it, but it's not exactly a glamorous lifestyle, especially when you're trying to get by on just tips.
Well, that's just it, is that this person is not chained to this.
Nobody's chained.
But that's just it, is that if you were to take a job where you subsist on tips, right? And you're not making a living at it, no one's twisting your arm to not do something else.
Nobody's twisting my arm to stay at the job that I'm at. I mean, like, I have suggested my job to so many people because of what it offers.
Right.
And I understand it's not for everybody. Hell, I had to wrap my head around the idea for a long time of like, oh my God, I'm actually going to be doing this. Something that I kind of like, turned my nose up at for a long time.
Yeah.
But it can be more challenging than people really think it is.
Right.
But at the same, I understand it's not for everybody.
But you also, in your specific line of work, you all sort of vie in your own way. Granted, it's ranked by seniority. Seniority, not superiority.
Sometimes.
But like, you all vie to specifically work certain parts of the town based on the amount of physical labor that's involved in it, the promise of holiday tips also. And I mean, that's just it, but I'm
not gonna lie, like my Christmas tips are a nice chunk of change. Like, I even my own brother asked me a while back, he's just like, I thought you guys weren't allowed to get tips. And I'm like,
sorry.
I'm pretty sure, like, formally speaking, we're probably not, but I mean, that's not going to stop people from throwing you,
But that's just it. That's just it. Is that I know so many people, and I'm one of them, honestly. I mean, I'm married to a mailman, but like, I wouldn't know what to tip.
I think it's left to the discretion of the person. Like, if a person, like, if I as a civilian want to tip my own mailman or my garbage man or my whoever, like, my mother tipped everybody.
Yeah.
Christmas time, tip the mailman, tip the garbage man, tip the tick sprayer and the all that stuff. Like, everybody. She had a gift lined up, no matter how big or how small, for everyone. And as a civilian, I think I should be able to give as freely as I see fit, and to hell with the rules and the standards and whatever they set.
Right.
It's none of corporate, for lack of a better way of saying, it's fucking business.
But let me ask you this. How many other carriers get cheesed off if their customers don't tip them?
I share my tips with everybody.
You share your tips with the people who
anybody who
help
does
to do your route.
who does work on my route.
Yes.
I share my tips with.
But how many other carriers do you know will get cheesed off if their customers don't tip them at the holidays? Like it's expected.
I mean, I've never really known anyone to get upset that they didn't get tipped. I've known people to get upset that they didn't get tipped as much as they thought they should have, like from other people. Like they thought they did a lot of work on somebody else's route. And, you know, like, which is why I've tried to, there have been years where I've split my tips evenly, like, especially the ones where I was sick and didn't really do any work. Like I split my tips evenly because realistically speaking, I've done most of the work throughout the year.
Right.
These guys have stepped up and done a really good job in my absence, and they deserve my consideration and my respect. At least I think so.
But do they get pissed off if their own customers don't tip them?
Well, they don't have their own customers. That's why I'm sharing it with them. They are the assistants who are.
I'm not talking about those assistants. I'm talking about other actual carriers.
I don't talk to the regulars about their customers.
I don't talk to other people.
Well, no, because I don't really care. Like, why am I going to care?
So no one goes in there and like loudly announces that it's bullshit.
No.
Now that surprises me.
They probably keep that sort of thing to themselves because they don't want other people knowing how much or how little they get.
That truly does surprise me.
I don't really want everybody knowing how much I normally get.
Right.
Because
but
maybe they'd be inclined to report
presume,
it.
Yeah, they can presume.
Which is why I'm so much more inclined to be like, hey, here you go, have some of this, have some of that. Like, you know, because I want them to know that I'm grateful for the help that they've given me.
Now, I just recently, the last couple of years working at the dispensary, it was an uphill battle.
Appealed?
It was an uphill battle trying to, you know, sort of get people on board with the idea that it was okay for us to receive tips from patients and customers.
Quick side note.
Yes.
My sharing habits when it comes to tips were based off what older carriers had done with me. Because when I was an assistant, they split their tips with me. Now, some were more generous than others. Some were less generous. But if I did work on somebody's route, they threw me something. And I didn't care how much or how little. Just the fact that they did it at all spoke volumes to me. And I was like, oh, that's very thoughtful of them. I'm going to continue that tradition going forward.
Now, when I was working at the dispensary, when we finally got our corporate overlords to agree that we were allowed to receive tips, because even if somebody like tried to slip you a couple of bucks, you had to adamantly refuse. No, I am not allowed to take this money from you. Mm. Now, every once in a while, I know plenty of people probably just pocketed it and kept their mouth shut. Mm-hmm. But the fact of the matter is that eventually they said, okay, you guys are going to pool it. This is how it's going to be divvied up. There's going to be a spreadsheet for it, and we're going to tax it. So, I mean, it was kind of bullshit, but there were so many people who would get pissed off at this whole idea of pooling tips because it's like, okay, well, I'm performing this duty, this duty, this duty. All that person is doing is standing there, and they're supposed to be like, when someone drops a $10 bill in their tip jar, what, they think they deserve that? It's like they didn't do any work for it.
Well, in that regard, so back when I used to work at Dunkin', we used to do the same thing. We would
pooled tips.
We pooled tips based on the hours at which certain employees had been working.
Right.
So like I was typically always the first one there at 2:00 in the morning. My first round of help came at 6 a.m. More people started rolling in at 7, 8, and so on and so forth. But every time somebody new walked in, we pulled all the tips out, split them up, divvied them out, and then a new tip jar started. But, you know, collectively, our tips were all saved for, I mean, the whole crew used to go bowling together every Wednesday night.
Yeah.
So.
That's nice.
It was a thing, like, because back then you used to be able to pay $20 to get into the lanes, and it was all you could bowl and all you could drink for $20.
All you could drink too.
All you could bowl, all you could drink for $20 all night.
Would you tip those people who poured those drinks for you?
I don't remember.
I
want to say yes, but
I hope so.
I don't remember.
Because that's just it too. Is think
we
about
were
it.
Also
like,
drinking
you know,
really
if you
cheap
got
drafts.
some sort of like all inclusive, who cares? That's your choice. But
well,
like,
I'm not going
if
to
you
tip
got
on a
some
nickel
like
draft.
all inclusive, why?
Because
why not? That person still performed a service for you.
And you want me to tip them a penny?
Let me
That's
tell
20%.
you something. When I go to Starbucks, okay, when I go to Starbucks,
They're bound to tell me to go fuck myself.
and I do the drive-in, the drive-through,
and
I do, I order ahead of time, whatever and everything, and I bare bones minimum every time I'm there will say yes, tip $1 before I even receive my drink. So before I have even got service, right? I have already tipped. I used to do the same thing whenever I would go through Grand Central, and I would stop at Starbucks in Grand Central to do it too. And I have been burned, okay? My coffee has been wrong. My service person has been surly.
Remember Valentine's Day this year?
We went to
Red Lobster.
Oh yeah.
And remember how long it took us to get seated?
Yes.
And how long it took us to get seen?
Yes.
And how long it took us drinks to show up and
Yes.
our food, and how other people who'd sat down after us had seen before us?
Yes. Well, didn't our server come eventually and was just like, sorry, no one told me you were here because this isn't technically my section?
But remember how leading up until he got there, I was like, oh, your tip's going down, buddy, down. And then he was so nice and so entertaining. And I'm like, all right, he's building it back up. He's trying.
Yeah.
He's trying his best.
But that's just it, is that like, I don't think not once have I ever gone back into like my Starbucks app and been like, you know what? Change the tip. Been like, you know what? No, that service, because I know that it's pooled.
There have been plenty of times where I've really regretted leaving the tip that I've left.
I can probably admit that I have felt the same way. I remember one time, it must have been 15 years ago, a bunch of us, after going out and drinking, we slept it off, and then we went out to IHOP the next day. There had to have been like, maybe a dozen of us, literally. We went to IHOP, we ate, and the service wasn't great. I definitely remember that. And, like the waitress just seemed like she just wasn't like, she's just sort of a space cadet kind of a thing. And I know that everyone was adamant, like, once the bill came and we all paid our shares, it was like, we're not leaving a tip. It's like, we're not going to leave a tip for a table of 12 people. And I think it was me, my friend Brandon, and it may have been one other person. Like, we snuck back in and we left money on the table for her.
Again,
and it's just like, listen, you did a shitty job, but there were a lot of us. So it's like, no.
But is it earned at that point?
It's not that because the food came. It's just, sometimes she had to, recheck things and everything like that.
Like, remember when
she wasn't very attentive, but like, we got our food.
We went out to lunch on Memorial Day, and that girl was just standing there on her phone when we needed our containers to go and our bill and everything.
Yeah. I mean, she was ignoring a lot of people, not just us.
We're largely, pigeonholing this to food service. And there are many, many other instances where tipping is implied, but, overlooked because people don't know what's appropriate.
I always wonder, like, and I admit, like, when someone, like, let's say delivers like an appliance and is going to install it, I'm always like, do I tip them?
Like the guys that did the dryer vent cleaning recently.
Yeah.
I tipped them an extra $20 because we see him once every 2 years, and he comes here, he does his job, he does his time. He typically probably only just gets whatever his fee is, but it's like, here, go get yourself a coffee.
Now, the dudes came to install the dishwasher a couple of years ago, and I did tip them. And they didn't even secure that motherfucker.
No. And
we didn't find that out until 2 days later.
Now,
when the whole thing just toppled forward.
What about in our line of work, in the performance industry, where, how often do we get tipped? Do we get tipped when we come off stage? Not really.
I mean,
we work our fingers to the bone. We pour our little hearts out for that audience.
Now, I will say that I have, on frequent occasions, left like a tip jar on my table at conventions. Been like, listen, if you don't want to buy my shit, can you at least like leave me some money?
You are not going to make us take you out during an episode.
Come here. Come here. You nut. You get under this table. But yeah, no, like that's just it. But do I anticipate ever getting that? Now, I do have tipping turned on when people pay by credit card. And I appreciate those tips specifically. I never expect them, but I appreciate them because
She's sulking her way up
when
the stairs.
when I charge someone a credit card fee, I have to pay a fee for
Right.
using the credit card.
Yeah.
So I appreciate when people tip on that because it's like I'm getting my fee back. So it's like I'm actually getting full price for my thing.
See, now in regards to like our line of work, employment, you know,
This, you mean? We'll
other
put that in
other
quotes.
forms of entertainment, you know. I remember when I found out that I could file performing as like on my taxes because I didn't realize that, you know, there are expenses that are incurred when it comes to being a performance artist.
Yeah.
There's equipment,
There's
and there's
gas,
there's wear and tear on the car, there's travel expenses and this, that, and the other thing. And again, we don't get tipped. I don't know that I've ever been tipped as a, you know, performing musician because, you know, while there are certain people who don't necessarily know what's appropriate or don't think it's appropriate to tip in certain situations, you know, there are certain people who also have this perception that certain forms of employment are not valid forms of employment.
I understand that.
Like, we are entertainers, so we understand that it's a business, and there's a lot that goes into getting to this stage of it, you know, getting to the professional quality level of it, where it's like, you know, yes, you are putting your all into this. And I don't know. I think that some education could go a long way in that regard.
I agree. I think that a big part of it is that people, to me, this is just my prerogative. Okay. Exactly. But if someone is performing a service for me, that means I don't have to do it. If it is some laborious service, like
a laboratory,
like moving furniture or something like that, like, I'm gonna tip that person because thank you. I know that this is your job, but I didn't have to do it.
See,
thank you.
That's why I took it upon myself to teach me how to teach myself. I didn't want to say myself twice in the same sentence. I self-taught a lot of different things to save myself the cost and the trouble.
And that's fine.
And the tipping necessity, you know, because there's a lot of things out there that people will hire specialists for. Yes. That they don't know or trust themselves to do on their own. That if just a little bit of, you know, education, we could all do really like how many people do you know that actually change their own oil? Now we could all change our own oil.
We could.
You know, but like for example, like when the sink needed to be replaced, I didn't want to pay a plumber to come in here and do it. So what did I do? Did it myself. That thing's been just fine for the last 6 years.
Good for you. Good for you. Listen, I get it. What was I?
But then people are lazy. Like, you know what thought crossed my mind earlier today? I was thinking because I came upon a customer's front step and saw like groceries sitting out in front of it, and no one was anywhere to be seen. And I'm like, I can't understand that. Like, I in my entire life, I have ordered like Peapod groceries once. Yeah. That was when I had COVID the first time and shouldn't have left the house. Like, my parents got Peapod a whole bunch because as they got older, you know, it was more difficult for them to carry like heavy bags and stuff like that. But the people that do it on the regular and just regularly have grocery, like, I like going to the grocery store. I like picking out my own groceries.
You're an odd duck. You're an odd duck.
Because I like knowing what I'm bringing home. I don't want somebody else sneezing and coughing all over my stuff.
Listen, I never thought about that when I was getting Peapod regularly. I got it because I loathe the grocery store.
You're the one who told me about the sneeze guard at buffets.
Well, yeah, that's because that's food out in the open.
And the one and only time I used Peapod, they got some stuff wrong, and they told me after the fact that some stuff wasn't available, so they had to substitute it. Now, I don't want to be told that after the fact. I want to be told that before you leave the grocery store with my stuff.
Instacart does that, by the way. So it's sort of, you know, they maybe a new a new player has entered the arena and they've you know
You
they've
just love saying that.
they've corrected some previous mistakes.
How am I alone in the idea that I like to go and pick out my own groceries?
Well, you're alone in this room. That's for sure. Like, don't get me wrong. I do not mind going with you.
Yeah, but what happens when you sign up for Peapod and you specifically list all the things that you want and they bring you nothing but generics because they didn't have brands?
You have the option of saying no substitutions.
Yeah, but what happens if you say that and then they bring you substitutions anyway and then you're just either stuck with that or like what do you do?
You call customer service and you say they didn't do it right.
But is that going to fix the problem?
It has for me.
Is that going to stop them from doing it again?
I had a Peapod delivery driver throw a 12-pack of toilet paper at my ass. And let me tell you, I called customer service.
And how was your ass?
Well, my ass was fine and still is. But they did, credit me because they were like, we are so sorry. We don't even know what to say about that.
Like we typically tend to tip delivery drivers, like DoorDash drivers, any, regular delivery. We talked about it earlier. We don't tip Amazon drivers. Maybe some people do, maybe especially at Christmas time. But here's the thing, and this has become almost like a habit recently. Both out at my job and here at our home, I've witnessed Amazon drivers doing really shitty things.
Yeah.
Like delivering stuff to our neighbor's door, taking a picture of it in front of our neighbor's door when the package is clearly labeled for our door.
Yeah.
Calling and complaining does nothing because it still happens, okay? Or I've seen them deliver the complete wrong package to the complete wrong door.
Yeah.
And I've also noticed them taking stuff, putting it in front of a door, taking a picture of it, then taking the item back and saying the person wasn't home. So multiple times
Why would they take a picture of it then?
I have no idea. Multiple times now, I've actually gotten emails with a picture of the item in front of our door, and then I come home and find a note that says, sorry you weren't here.
On a side note, this is they're
not getting a tip for that.
This message is for my customer in Calgary who hasn't received their package yet.
My God.
I'm so sorry. Are
you worried about listening? The tip or the review that you may or may not get?
I'm not. I hope that you are not experiencing some bullshit run around because I did make you those paintings and I really do hope you get them. Just on the off chance that the delivery person is being a douchebag.
Blame Canada.
I was going to say something. What was I going to say? I don't remember what I was going to say. But that's just it. Is that to me, bottom line is that a tip should be for merit. It is gratitude.
I'm so glad we agree on
gratuity. However, I do think that, social convention states that we have drawn a line at where you stop earning it, kind of a thing. For example, you see a tip jar at Starbucks and Dunkin', but not at McDonald's and Burger King, like you have said. Now, why is that? Why is that?
I've never worked at either one.
Neither have I. But honestly, why do you think that is?
Maybe they've secretly been getting federal benefits this entire time, and we've
maybe. I don't know, because that's.
Donald Trump does love his fucking Big Mac.
If you go to Shake Shack,
no tip jar.
But you can leave a tip on the app.
Oh, really?
Yup. When you order at the kiosk, you can leave a tip.
It's at that point up to the discretion of the business itself.
So what in our minds says that if someone helps get our food ready at McDonald's, we can't just slide $1 to them?
I think we should do away with tipping altogether. Every business, every service, everything. Tipping, gone. Because then that levels the playing field.
What playing field?
It levels the playing field. Make it so that tipping is outlawed completely, and just outlawed completely, and just make it so that everybody is getting a livable wage.
Well, wouldn't that be dreamy? But what would stop people from still tipping to say thank you?
Nothing.
So then, but it's outlawed.
But obligatory tipping should be a thing of the past.
Obligatory tipping.
Because, for example,
do you think it's social convention that's made it obligatory?
You and I have had personal experiences with servers who have gone above and beyond, who have we've built a rapport with, who have, actually engaged us in polite conversation, while we're waiting for our food. And, like, we know certain people by name at certain places that we go to. Mm-hmm. That's nice. People don't necessarily do that anymore.
No.
There are some people in their jobs who, despite having to interact with their customers, don't want to be on a first name basis. If you introduce yourself and they want to know your name, they're like, why would you want to know my name? Like,
well, you're a rare breed because you introduce us to every server we've ever had.
Because it's polite. It's what you do. Like, again, and I've said this on past podcasts, my parents built up a rapport in all the local spots in our hometown. They knew all the owners. They knew all the servers. They built a rapport with everybody because they like to frequent these places regularly. And not only that, but all of my friends would say to me, like, we could see your parents at any given place on any given night. Like, they would always be there. Like, it was almost like a joke, but it was true.
Yeah.
And, I so badly wanted to have the same sort of thing around here.
Right. You're working on it.
And yet to this day, I've been going to my favorite diner in town for 15 years. I still don't know anybody's name. I love them all, but I still don't know any of their names.
Now.
I should probably get on that.
So you believe that tipping should be just done away with?
Either do away with it or make it uniform across the board.
How's that?
Set a standard amount like 15, 20%, 25%, whatever can be agreed upon, and just let that be. Because again, I swear for the longest time, I was led to believe it was supposed to be 50, at least in a restaurant setting, it was supposed to be 15% of your bill.
I was always convinced that it was 15 also.
But
standard. Somebody
told me years later, no, you're wrong. It's always been 20. And I'm like, I don't ever remember hearing 20.
So whoever told you that is stupid.
But since then, I've operated under 20. And then again, depending on how good or how bad the service is, it's either 20, 22, 23, or if it's bad, 18, 17. Like, I gauge it based on, and then of course I also round up or down depending on, if I want to see an even charge on my credit card.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I get that.
Because some people do that.
I'm
sorry. I don't want to tip badly,
right,
but I also don't want lousy service.
But do you think that there are services that do not merit a tip?
Yes.
What would those be? Give me a sample. Give me a sample list.
Well, I mean, like, ultimately, everyone can choose whether or not they want to tip, be it at McDonald's or Dunkin' Donuts or the guy who delivers your washer dryer or anything like that. But, if somebody is literally just turning around, grabbing something and sticking it in front of you, like, how much effort does that take? That's really just their job. Now, if somebody is bringing it to your table, refilling your drink multiple times, engaging you in conversation, asking you how your day is going, like, that's different.
Now, as I will have to bring up again,
because one is merit-based and one is not.
But again, I'm not salty about it, okay? But you just said exactly what that guy on TikTok said. If all you're doing is turning around, grabbing something and giving it to me, I shouldn't have to tip you. First of all, you don't have to tip, period.
Right.
But you don't have to be a dickbag about it.
I never said that, though.
I'm not saying you did. I'm just saying that if you perceive that all that person is doing is turning around and grabbing something for you, if that's what you perceive, you don't necessarily know for a fact that that's their entire job description.
But then that has nothing to do with tipping and has everything to do with the background of the person.
The background of the would-be tipper?
Of the would-be tipper, yeah.
I agree.
And their version of etiquette and their,
And therein lies the biggest point for me. And it's the basis for everything that we have been taught since we were eggs, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. If you don't see the merit behind a service and therefore do not see that a tip is warranted or earned, then just don't leave one.
Like, I operate under the assumption that I'm not getting tipped at all. The fact that I do
it's a hearty bonus.
And I'm very appreciative. As a matter of fact, you know what I appreciate more than the money I get at Christmas time? I appreciate the people on days like today who leave frozen drinks in their mailbox for me. And there is somebody who leaves me a frozen Gatorade and a frozen water bottle every single day that it's hot. And he left me both of them today, and I couldn't be more appreciative because that's worth more than all the money I'll get all year.
That is super nice. Well, let me ask you this. Again, just to play devil's advocate, let me ask you this. Hypothetically speaking, if holiday seasons come around and your customers are all starting to leave their tips in their mailbox and everything, right? And you have to walk a package up to someone's door who hasn't tipped you or anything like that. And you wish them a happy holidays and everything. And they say, oh, I guess that means I have to tip you, right?
No one's ever said that to me.
Can you imagine if they ever did, though?
I would remember that encounter, and I'd be like, oh, all right, well, they're not going to get any special service out of me.
So I have been on the receiving end of that experience. I can tell you that.
But in that instance, that person is going out of their way to be a dick,
and
we don't allow dicks on this show.
And that is my point. Is it's not about the tip; it's about the appreciation or lack thereof. It's like, if you don't want to tip your service people, regardless of what the service is, they probably don't give a shit.
I think we can all agree that if you get tipped, you're going to provide a little bit better service. Like that person that gives me drinks every hot day of the year, their packages are going to go straight to their door. If something comes by that needs to be signed for, I'm not leaving a note in their box. I am calling them on their telephone and being like, hey, do you want me to leave this in the box or do you want me to bring it back to the office? Like, yes. I will go above and beyond for the people that are looking out for me. Because for every person that does that, there's just as many people that...
The dog is literally tearing down our set.
It's time to go out.
All right, yes. I understand your point. Do you understand mine?
Absolutely. We got to wrap this up.
We're going to wrap this up because our executive producer is tap dancing around. Thank you out there in podcast land for listening. This was, I believe, informative. It was definitely a little discordant, but, listen to each other. Please read the room. And the fact of the matter is I will always advocate for, tipping your service people because the fact of the matter is they're working hard for you.
Stay tuned next week for this exciting conclusion.
And find out who we've tipped in the meantime.
There you go.
Thank you for listening. Please find us on social media, DT Andy and JJ Star with 2 R's. Find Tax Collectors and Harlots, Love Hard Art, Coat of Arms Tattoo. Do you have anything coming up? You don't have anything coming up right
Rat's
now.
Nest.
Rat's Nest is in August.
The second week of August.
Yes, and Blood and Ink is in October. We'll get to that.
Right.
Go to our website, thattalkingpodcast.buzzsprout.com. You can become a supporter of this show.
Oh, I didn't get to tell you about the pizza joint, but I'll tell you guys about that next week.
Okay. Stay tuned. Yes, go to our website and you can become a supporter of the show. You can pledge as little as $3 a month to help us keep this shit going. And send us a text message and let us know what else you want us to blather on about. And thank you for our theme song.
Despite the shenanigans that went down at the Pine Loft Pizza joint, I still tipped on my 3 Jack and Cokes.
Round of applause for that. And that's that. That's a full lid. From the 3 of us at That Talking Podcast, I'm JJ Star.
And I'm Downtown Andy.
We'll talk to you later.